Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump, and today we're going to be talking about 3 heroes who, despite not being perceived as necessarily strong, do still have areas and situations in which they can flourish. The perception about a lot of heroes in the game is that they're either a must pick or that they're completely dead. Well, that's not actually true, and today's video explores some of those hidden gems that can produce value in the right situations. Reaper. Reaper is not as simple as he first seems. His kit may be basic, but his application takes some nuance. He has big damage potential, but also comes with some severe downsides that can hold him back, and we'll cover those first. Everyone knows he's weak to all manner of ranged damage because the nature of his kit is so sharply weighted to fighting up close. However, he actually matches up well against the 2 meta DPS right now, Sombra and Doomfist. Reaper is one of the best heroes in a duel versus Doom. Lifesteal, Wraithform Dukes to avoid Doom's cooldowns, and big burst damage at close range where Doom has to fight makes for a recipe that can punish any backline shenanigans he tries to get into. As quickly as Doom can come in and wreck something, Reaper can just as quickly erase him if you position well. And for Sombra, Reaper doesn't mind being hacked because he's only got 1 relevant cooldown anyway, has more health than a typical squishy, and much more lethal damage should Sombra stick around to try and eliminate him. This means a hack won't punish him unless he was hacked way out of position. However, despite these things going for him, there are some major downsides to Reaper in this meta outside of his weakness to range damage, but thankfully some of those might be going away soon. One of the biggest challenges he faces is armor, particularly Brigitta's rally armor, which blunts his effectiveness severely. Because his weapon is a spread, where all the little separate pellets are affected, well, separately, the damage reduction to his output can be as much as 50% for a body shot. The good news is soon, Torb will be entering rank to provide an ultimate that directly punishes Rally's use, perhaps dropping the pervasiveness of Brig, or at least opening the door wider for a hero like Reaper. A Reaper Torb DPS combo sounds like a troll, and they would be if your enemy do swap to range damage, but against Sombra Doom, you'll be in control until they swap. Until all of this unfolds, here are a few simple tips for you. For sure, try shooting tanks during the poke phase when it's convenient, but if you position a bit more defensively to solely focus on punishing Doomfist when he dives your backline, you can really ruin his day. Even if you only deter him, that can be enough. As long as you repeatedly force him to run without getting a kill, your reliable frontline damage will cumulatively edge out the teamfight victory. Also, with Zarya being played so frequently in ranked, if you can control your shots through good trigger discipline of your shotguns, you can avoid her getting the charge she needs to carry, and when she's starved of that resource, she's an easy duel for you. Plus, don't forget, Reaper has one of the few abilities left in the game that still can escape grav, allowing you to play aggressively into her without being fearful of her ultimate. Mei. First off, with her icicle buff recently, Mei has the power to deal with almost anything if you're good enough. The downside to picking her though still lies in firepower, as it's hard to compete with the likes of Hanzo spamming insta-kill logs down firing lanes. But if you practice and gain mastery over her ranged projectile, you can also unlock some of the biggest value plays in the entire game. The current patch plays quite slow and deliberate. Rein and Zarya are everywhere, with no Lucio oftentimes to get them where they need to be sharpish, so Mei's wall can get insane value when placed well. Walling Rein off from his team to focus him down, walling your team up out of a graviton to avoid a Dragon Strike follow-up, walling off an incoming Diva Bomb, or blocking off pursuit when your frontline gets EMP'd. All of these big plays are commonplace when you master her most important cooldown. The biggest tip we have is to try and not attempt to freeze too much, because if you find yourself going for that freeze and the enemy escapes too often, you have to consider how much more value you'd have got with any other weapon in the game in that situation. The whole time you're chasing something with your little blast of winter, another damage hero could have killed 3 targets. Instead, use freeze when a duel is more or less committed and you're confident that you can secure that kill, or when peeling against an over-eager Genji so he can't escape. But most times you'll want to commit to the icicle skill shots to actually deal damage, even if it feels hard to do, as some threat is better than no threat, and too often the freeze ray is little more than an annoyance. Mei's biggest problem is that a ton of her value comes from 200 IQ plays with the wall, so if you don't get its placement perfect and it gets no value, you rather quickly remember how much more reliable other DPS heroes' weapons are by comparison. However, we feel that this is an aspect of the hero that might develop over time, as not many players have anywhere near the amount of practice with her to maximize her potential value. This was the case with Doomfist, for example, example. Sure, his shields buff certainly helped him be where he currently is, but it also was players leveling up their skills over time. Mei can be similar, as the more you master her wall, her icicle, and using ice block to save yourself from all manner of setups, including Doomfist engages, you for sure can be a real nuisance that the enemy is forced to swap their team comp around just to deal with you. Mercy. Right, before you shoot the messenger, let's get a few things straightened out right away. No, you can't one-trick her, she's now a situational pick. Your teammates also need to know how to play around a Mercy in specific. She doesn't just slot into one of the support slots in a generic way. By picking Mercy, you're actively playing for less heal, less mid-fight tank battle, but more range damage and strength in the pick-off game, which means your tanks cannot play heal greedy, which, let's face it, in ranked almost never happens, but if they do play appropriately for the lower heals and the specific playstyle by not always committing, instead choosing to just hold the right space so their DPS has angles to work from, you can see Mercy shine. You may be surprised to know that she has quite a strong win rate in GM, the highest of any support at 55%. However, that stat can be deceiving at first glance because it's paired with a lower pick rate, which indicates that top players use her sparingly where she does work, which is also demonstrative of why we think she's undervalued. Mercy is a strong combo hero who is viable for certain matchups and maps. Because she can use her mobility to go with the team and escape readily, she isn't stuck waiting for help in the backline like some other slower supports. So anytime you're finding yourself needing more peel from your team to stay alive, consider using Mercy's superior movement to keep your support uptime high. This playstyle of course pairs best with Pharah, which is good because we think the combo of both of them together is even scarier now than it was before. Despite Pharah definitely being harder to play now, she does have a higher peak of potential performance as well, making the damage amped rocket from Mercy even more valuable than it was previously. Direct amped rockets hurt, now you can dish out more of that pain. Whether it's a 3-3 comp or a Doomfist causing you trouble, Pharmacy straight up kicks ass and takes names, often requiring the enemy to swap off some meta picks to counter you instead. But it's not just Pharah, still underrated is Mercy paired with range DPS in general, whether it's Widow, Hanzo, Soldier or McCree. Just quickly about those last two, Soldier and McCree can often struggle in this meta. You should consider a Mercy pick to embolden their playstyle, or else they'll be trying to play into a battle that they don't really fit into. Playing ranged poke characters with low mobility requires you to play for shield break, but that is made much easier with a Mercy damage amp pocket. Mercy is also underrated as one of the best support heroes to play against Doomfist, as she escapes him rather easily if her movement is good. Damage amp helps him to be focused down, and as Doom has to play around his cooldowns, there are clear periods where he cannot stay committed, giving you that opportunity to get a clutch res off. You do have to be wary of Sombra however, as with infinite stealth she can nearly always find you for a hack, and most of the time you won't have a weapon out to break it. However, if you position yourself safely in fights the best you can minimize this impact somewhat. Plus, don't be afraid to defend yourself with your blaster if you do get hacked, as at the right range and with good enough strafe moves, you actually fare quite well in a straight up duel with Sombra head to head. Only issue is, you usually can't see her coming, so she'll have a lead on you. A lot of players tend to think the meta is quite black and white. You're either a meta hero or you're unplayable. Not so. The playing culture and rank might feel that way, I grant you, but that's what these videos are about. There are little edges to be gained everywhere by picking underrated heroes in their specific elements, especially against opponents who might be conforming to a simplistic perception of what's good, not what actually is. Especially when you consider the benefit of playing uncommon heroes players may have forgotten how to deal with. And that's about it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss another video of ours again, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and other cool stuff. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time,